Hey everybody, this is Eddie Trunk, and you're watching The Metal Voice.
Welcome to another edition of The Metal Voice, and today's special guest is...
Big special guest.
None other than Eddie Trunk from The Metal Show.
That Metal Show. What's going on, Eddie?
Hey guys, how are you?
You're keeping yourself busy. Radio personality, talk show host, author.
Music historian.
I don't know, man. I just do what I do, but I'm lucky to have a number of different platforms. I added a podcast last year, which I just found out in its first year was nominated for an award.
Nice.
So, you know, I just roll with the stuff, and I'm lucky, and I'm thankful that I have an audience that embraces most of the things that I do and keeps me going. So, you know, just having fun. 32 years into it, still hanging in there.
So, Eddie, tell us about the new season of That Metal Show. So it's the 14th season, correct?
Yeah, it's the 14th season. We've averaged doing about... I guess it would come out to being about 2 seasons a year.
Wow. Because
this is the 7th year of the show.
Okay.
So we do, even though last year, unfortunately, we only did 1 season in the entire year, I'm hoping we get to do at least 2 in this year. We're right in the middle of taping, we're actually towards the front end, actually, of taping our 14th season. Our 3rd episode of this season premieres this coming Saturday, and we're doing 12. We're committed to 12, and then we'll see where we go from there. But, yeah, it's been a tremendous ride. I've been a part of the channel, VH1 Classic, since 2002 as a host and a VJ, and then I got this show together in 2008, and it's become their flagship program for VH1 Classic. It is pretty much the biggest show they have on the channel, and it's the one that they produce for the channel. And it's pretty remarkable. It's very much been the little show that could.
Yeah.
Well, what do you attribute your success to, Eddie? What kind of demographic is out there watching this?
Well, I think it fills a huge void for people who are rock and metal fans, and who are, I'd say, our biggest demographic, our biggest audience is definitely guys between, like, I'd say 30 and 50 years old.
Us.
Although it's definitely amazing to me how many little kids and young kids that I meet that love the show, and people, you know, outside of the demographic. It's really cool to meet people that tell me that they love watching the show, but they aren't necessarily even into the bands or the music that we have on. And people originally would think that that is offensive to me, but it's actually quite the opposite, because in order to be a successful show, you need to get past what your natural audience is going to be. So when I hear from people that say, yeah, we just watch because, you know, we like what goes on, we like you guys, we like what you say, we like what you do, we just get a kick out of it, that's really good, because that shows the growth that we need to show, and shows that we're crossing over some. It's an audience that really hasn't had a destination on television that they could see 3 guys who are truly into the music and to the bands, and talk to these artists and see these artists. I mean, hear from so many people that, I mean, working in the business my whole life, I take it for granted that I keep up with what these guys are up to and what's going on with these artists. But you'd be surprised how many people I hear from every day with a really major artist that we'll have on. They say, wow, I haven't heard of that guy in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? I mean, why? I mean, they've been making records and touring ever since. But I think a lot of people, their lives change. They get older. Their priorities change. They're not necessarily going to pick up rock magazines anymore. They're not necessarily going to go out to clubs and see rock bands anymore. But when they get to see these guys on our show, they get a kick out of it, and it takes them back.
You know, you bring up a good point there, Eddie, and it was J.J. French. We just did an interview with J.J. French, and he's a bit worried. He didn't say rock is dead, but he says nobody, you know, there's no young band that's picking up the torch or running with it, like, internationally. And if we look at the tours that are happening this summer, AC/DC, Rush, Whitesnake, Tesla, Def Leppard. I mean, these bands are all up there. There's no. His point was there's no young bands that are like as in the country music scene or the rap scene or the hip hop scene. There's no young band that's coming that's going globally, getting known globally, and there's that gap. And he's worried about the fate of metal.
I would respectfully disagree with my good friend JJ.
Okay.
I think there are. Whether they'll be as big as these bands that we're talking about, it's too soon to tell. But when you look at a band like Avenged Sevenfold and what they've been able to do, a couple back-to-back #1 records, huge stage productions, dual guitars, a fan base in their early 20s all wearing their T-shirts, that's encouraging.
Right.
Now, again, whether you like these bands or not is irrelevant. I'm just talking from the standpoint of will these groups, is there a future? A band like Five Finger Death Punch, 2 back-to-back #1 records. They do very well touring. A band like Volbeat, very, very, very successful at this point in their career, showing no signs of stopping, getting mainstream radio play. Anthrax opening for them coming up.
Yeah. Wow.
Slipknot. Again, whether you like them or not, irrelevant, but you can't argue the fact they've had 2 or 3 back-to-back #1 records. They are festival headliners. They are headliners everywhere, arenas, what have you. So they're out there. Are they AC/DC? Are they Rush? Are they Aerosmith, Kiss, Judas Priest? No, not yet. But it's too early in their careers to tell where this is going to go. So I think that's encouraging. And I also really like this scene that's happening now with younger bands coming out with this old school sort of riff-based sound.
Right.
The band called Rival Sons doing really well right now. A band called Scorpion Child I like a lot. A band called King that I like a lot. So they're out there. You have to look for them. Whether they're going to stand the test of time like the icons that we love, that remains to be seen. But they are out there if you do search, and I think there's some encouraging signs.
White Wizard, Strikers, a few other guys that we could probably add to that list, and bringing back the old.
There's a band from Canada called Monster Truck. Right. There's a band called Pharmacos I love. They're certainly not new guys, but I love the new Black Star Riders record. It's a new band.
Definitely.
You see Marilyn Manson, who everybody wrote off, come back with a top 10 record and starting to do well. That's an artist that's 15 years on now or something. So there's encouraging signs, I think.
Eddie, a lot of times I read comments about that metal show, and they go, you guys are stuck in the 80s. Is it fair to say that most of your interviews are based around, the 80s and 90s big stars, even the 70s, the late 70s, we'll say. And a lot of younger guys are saying, how come we can't get our shot on the show? I mean, care to comment on that?
Sure. I hear about that all the time. There's a few things people don't quite understand about that. First of all, the channel that we run on, at least in America, and that the show is produced for, is called VH1 Classic.
Right.
That second word, classic, that people just tend to forget
about
it. The entire channel is based on classic artists.
Yeah.
The entire network is rooted in classic. I say to people all the time, do you go to ESPN Classic to see new games? Nope. Go to ESPN Classic to see old games. So, now that being said, we have made tremendous strides in terms of introducing and having new artists on the show.
Cool.
In the beginning, we had to keep it very close to the vest with classic because that's what the channel was known for, and that's what 90% of the people coming to that channel want to see. Mm-hmm. So you can't blow off your base immediately by jamming new bands at them.
Sure. Right.
But I can tell you, anybody who makes that claim now just hasn't watched the show. I mean, we've had everybody from Amon Amarth to the guitar player from Dillinger Escape Plan. This season, we've got Taylor from The Pretty Reckless, Lizzie Hale. I mean, I don't know how much more diverse we can get. We're going everywhere. We're going from Mark Farner and Leslie West to Daryl McDaniels to, as I said, Taylor Momsen. I mean, we're running the gamut right now. We had Matt from Avenged Sevenfold on last season. I mean, it's a wide network casting. So anybody that makes that claim now just doesn't know what they're talking about and hasn't even taken the time to watch.
Yeah.
More than not, people that will say stuff like that are just upset because more fringe bands that they love aren't on the show.
Yeah, true.
And to them, I would say the thing I've said a million times, I work for a network. Do you know how many bands I personally love to death that I could not and have never had on that metal show?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Tons. What is the band I'm always screaming about that I love so much? UFO.
Yeah.
UFO's never been on that metal show. So anybody that makes the claim that, oh, it's only bands that I like or what have you, it's so baseless, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's no better example than what I just told you. UFO, the band I scream about the most, has never appeared on that metal show.
They're classic band, and they're still recording.
And I would love to get them on one day.
Let's get them on. Hook them up.
The network didn't want to do it at the time. And now I could probably get them on. But that's what people don't understand. I work for a network that owns that metal show.
Yeah.
And they have a vision for what they want to do. Now, I'll say this. They've been tremendously supportive. And we have had, like I just told you, an enormous amount of artists on, of a huge array and genre of music. But you're never going to please everybody.
Of course not.
Everybody's got that band that you should be having on, that should be, you know, that should be getting the attention. And listen, it's there's a million of bands out there, and we're a little show that maybe does 12 episodes a year, and we do the best we can within what the network wants.
Hey, I can relate to that. Jim and I have these discussions all the time. I want to get on my heroes from the 80s and interview them. Jimmy's thinking about numbers and statistics and downloads and who's viewing it. So
you got to find ways to do it. And one of the things that we've been able to do with that metal show is we've been able to find ways to expose these lesser-known bands through very subtle ways.
Yeah.
We do a thing called Pick of the Week, where we'll go and we'll show the artist, and that can be anything we want. And that's a great way for us to focus on newer bands as well.
Right.
I'll tell you what, this sounds really silly, but something as simple as one of us wearing the artist's T-shirt on the set gets a tremendous amount. We've heard it a million times from the artist. So, you know, I like this new band called King, K-Y-N-G.
Yeah.
We haven't had them on the show yet. I hope one day we will. But when I do my pick of the week and I hold up their new album, I hear from the label that there's been a spike in sales and everybody wants to know who King is.
So Eddie, we're going to switch gears here. Stump the Trunk, Canadian version. You ready?
Okay.
Stump the Trunk, Canadian version. I'll let you begin.
Yeah, I'll give you an easy one off the bat, Eddie. One of my favorite bands as well is Coney Hatch, who produced their eponymous first LP.
You have 15 seconds.
I think it was Kim Mitchell, right?
You got it.
Yes! Oh my God! I didn't even know that. Here's another one. The group Kick-Axe out of the western part of Canada. They released an album called Vices. Who was the lead vocalist?
I know the band. I know because they had a song, I think, on the record called On the Road to Rock.
Yes.
That's right.
Who is the lead vocalist? You have 15 seconds.
I don't know.
Oh, George Kristen.
An American.
I just know the band. I didn't know any of the members, though.
Here's one more for you. You ready?
Yep.
Go, Alan.
Which was the name of the Canadian metal band in the late 70s, early 80s that featured a Mr. Canada or Mr. USA bodybuilder?
Thor.
You got it.
Oh, that's an easy one. That's an easy one.
I know. Eddie, it's been great talking to you. We love what you do. We're in the same boat. We do our show because we love it, the music and everything just like you. And wish you continued success.
Hey guys, best of luck to you too, and thank you for taking the time and having me.
Have a great day, Eddie. Thank you.